Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Talkin Kop. We're here for another full-time match reaction. It is finished at the Bournemouth Vitality Stadium. Bournemouth 0, Liverpool 2. I'm joined by Kev and Ashley today to talk through all the finer points of it. And Ashley, the Reds just keep marching on. Another win, 9 points clear of Arsenal at the top of the table on an even number of games played. A perfect result today.
Yep. Things we like to see. It was a great result. It was a great performance. I'm thrilled.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot, with the exception maybe of Trent looking like he might have picked up something of an injury there. It was a pretty good performance all around. And Kev, it was, doing the preview for this, you talk about the pressure being put on you playing first, and the pressure then that we can put on Arsenal with their big game against City coming up tomorrow. And we got done the absolute bare minimum that we needed to get done, which was to get the 3 points.
Oh, it was massive. Look, I mean, you go back and look at the scores that Bournemouth have had at home this season. Look who they've taken points off of. They're not where they are this season by accident. That is a huge 3 points for us. They were going into today some like 13 unbeaten, something like that. One of the best records in the Premier League this season. I don't think they'd lost the game since mid-November. They're flying form, and we saw what happened in the early kickoff today with Nottingham Forest, proving that, getting the Bournemouth result out of their system, that victory should have fired Bournemouth. They were supremely confident, and we had to be right on it from the very first second. And we rode our luck at times, but in the main, I think we deserved the 3 points. But I can understand the frustration if you're a Bournemouth fan. But for me, that is fucking massive. That is massive. You keep saying it, but there's defining moments in a season. Getting 3 points in that ground against a side like that, a day before the sides who are trying to chase you down play each other and take points off each other, no matter what they do, someone is taking points off each other. So, yeah, it's fantastic. When you look at the table, we've played the same games as everyone else now. So people can look at the points total and says that's the reality of where we are. He was on mute, Matt.
See? Fucking amateur hour over here. Jesus.
Look, I mean, we got the supreme host with the most over in the corner here. She didn't want to say anything, but
I know. I'm gonna lose my role as host for these gigs, and I'm just gonna be slowly fade into obscurity, and you'll never see me again.
Oh, we can't. No, that'll never happen.
No.
Yeah,
that'll never happen.
The narratives though just continue to pile up. In terms of the luck that Liverpool is getting on our way to what's starting to feel like a nice, juicy 20th league title. Bournemouth, a dozen players out injured. Again, the shots of their media box with all their injured players sitting in it. But you still have to beat the team that's in front of you. Like Kev pointed out, they're undefeated since the 23rd of November. And then Chris Brack, who's not going to be on the show, but is still in the chat, pointing out that 15 out of 15 in the league now when we score first. But Ashley, the difference between the two teams, just in terms of the players available for selection for us, we get the boost of Jones and Jota coming back onto the bench for us. It looks like Darwin Núñez as well recovers from his illness that caused him to miss out to PSV midweek. Joe Gomez potentially on his way back as well, too. We've got a very clean bill of health, and because of that, it was the easiest to predict starting 11 ever.
Yeah, I think for us, I think the only toss-up was Robertson or Tsimikas. For them, they don't have the players to rotate, so it was pretty much same as. And I still think they're doing amazingly well with the amount of players that they have out. You look at other teams in this league and how they can't quite keep up their performances when they have, like 2 players out. Cough, Arsenal, cough. But Bournemouth, they don't complain. They just go and they are performing at that is a very high level for a team that size and for a budget that they have. I'm very impressed with them.
Yeah, and the lesser spotted Richard Hughes was actually in attendance at his old employer for, maybe somebody could tell him, his current employer, Liverpool Football Club. But
hopefully he was doing some scouting work.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, let's say that's what it was. And there's definitely a few players in this Bournemouth team that catch the eye. Kev, you said it's a game where we need to be on it from the get go, and it was about 10 seconds in, and the danger man for them. I mean, Antoine Semenyo is a hell of a player, but that's a real early warning shot, like right from the kickoff.
Yeah, and that's how the half progressed. It was like that. It was end to end. Both sides were fully intent on attacking, whereas we tried to control the ball at times, and take the sting out of the crowd, just try to calm things down a bit. But Bournemouth were not having it. They were pressing really aggressive, and that's why I said you had to be right on it from minute one. You can't dwell on the ball, and that's what happened. That's where Semenyo picked the ball up, cut inside, and had a dig, and it's his trademark. I think I got it wrong. I thought they paid something like 18 million for him. They paid 12 million for him. I mean, there's a few players in that Bournemouth starting 11 today that I will be very surprised if there's not a lot of clubs that go deep into the Champions League this season looking at players in that Bournemouth squad, including their manager, to snap up in the summer. I think what they've achieved. I was funny enough. Who was it? Ian something or other. He's a journalist for the Echo, but he did a story there, and what they're about Bournemouth and what they're achieving with that ground capacity, so like 11,500 capacity. What they're able to produce on the pitch is unbelievable. It is absolutely unbelievable, and the fact that they're still continuing to do it year in, year out is, you cannot give them enough credit. But at the same time, they're there to be picked off with some of their better players are going to be sold on, because just like Brighton, that's their model. They have to do that in order to compete. But yeah, it was straight from and the thing is, they had the chance, then we went at the other end and had a chance. Yep. Within a minute. And that's how I was like, okay, it's got to be one of them. Okay, we can do that too. We don't have to do it often, do we? It's like you get the games where sides will defend from the halfway line so we can control the ball. That's fine. You get 65, 70% possession of the ball and you beat them that way. That's fine. You get the odd game. And I think that's the way to play Liverpool, by the way, how Bournemouth played today, where you're really aggressive on the press. You go man for man. You take the risks and you sometimes get rewarded. Sometimes you don't. But one thing with this Liverpool side, if you stand off, odds are at some point you will give up a really good chance. And at the same time, you're going to have to really work very hard to create something yourself. So yeah, I enjoyed the whole game, but yeah, the start was like mind-blowing stuff.
Yeah. Well, and it was very nice. So an early quote from Slot here says, exactly the game we expected. They are so intense. They just keep running and keep fighting. Continues to say, we had to be on top of our abilities and needed a bit of luck. They hit the post 2 times. I didn't think we controlled the game. It was an open game. And Ashley, it was such a refreshing change from going up against teams that set up in a low block. And there's no issue with that. If that's what you think is your only course to get a result against Liverpool, is to set up with 9 men behind the ball or 10 men behind the ball, go ahead and do that. But we all kind of presumed that Bournemouth were just going to come out and play the Bournemouth way, and they did. And it was such a nice change from seeing a team just sit in their own box.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to see a team that's going to back their own abilities. And I think, looking at Bournemouth's form, they deserve to back their abilities. They've beat Arsenal, they've beat City, they've beat big teams. And to see them just kind of go, you know what, we're going to go toe-to-toe with you and try to outscore you, it is refreshing. I mean, I agree that there are teams that do not have the skill set to do that for us, and their best chance is to sit back. But from an optics standpoint, like I hate when teams just park a bus. Like, there's nothing worse than just watching those 2 banks of 5 just sitting there, and you're like, well, you just come out and play just a little bit, like just for, a little bit of excitement. But yeah, I mean, today was an exciting game. It was a great watch. I'm sure, like, from a neutral perspective, it was really enjoyable. I'm sure people probably would have liked us to lose, but in terms of a spectacle, it was end to end the whole time. And the shot after 13 seconds, I mean, I don't know. If you weren't awake before, you were awake after that.
Yes, yeah. Do I have your attention now? Do I have your attention now? There's just a couple of moments in the first 20 minutes or so that were kind of recurring themes throughout. I mean, Kev, you mentioned the chance we had immediately after that opening shot from Semenyo, and it's McAllister trying an overhead kick in the box, and Alexis McAllister being a little bit loose with his feet will come up again later in the show. In the 7th minute, Mo Salah actually had a foul called against the defender hanging off of him, and it happened again in the game.
So that might be it twice. I'm like, wow.
No, that's his yearly budget for fouls being called against him. But they obviously came out with a game plan to have their defenders be strong in the tackle, because there was foots being left in, and there was strong tackles from both teams. And Darren England, the referee today, who was very infamously the VAR in the Spurs Luis Diaz debacle goal last year. I don't think anybody's going to say he had an absolutely great game, but yeah, Semenyo hits the post after 20 minutes, and it was, for me, it was like, shit, like, we're going to have to do something about this guy, because, Kev, it was pretty obvious. I mean, you can say this damn near 90% of our games, that the opposition's attacking game plan is almost certainly going to involve getting the ball to their left-hand side and trying to take advantage of a danger player against Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah, but it's because on the other side, you're generally playing against Robertson or Tsimikas and the left winger who comes back, and it's on Virgil's side, and McAllister comes back and helps out as well. When it's on Trent's side, it's Gravenberch trying to get over. It's Trent isolated, usually 2v1, and Konate either overcommits or doesn't commit enough. You know, with Trent, it seemed like when Conor Bradley came on, he was quite happy to just say, yeah, okay, you deal with it. It's fine. I trust you more. But for whatever reason, he doesn't know whether to stick or twist sometimes when it comes to Trent. But he'll get virtually no help from Mo. And that's by design. That's not a slight on Mo. That's not a slight on anything. It's just the way that we've set up to be able to hit sides on the counter. So it's goes back to risk and reward football that was there under Klopp. It's no different. The tactic is the exact same, and you watch it play out. You watch the other players having a shuttle across. We watched Jordan Henderson doing it for years. You watch now you're watching Szoboszlai trying to track back, Gravenberch coming over. But ultimately, when you're playing against a winger like Semenyo, he'll have his moments in games where he will get the better of you, and it's all about how you deal with the cross and how you deal with the marking in the box, which I think in the main we did well. Yeah, he got a shot off. It hit the post. It's like, it's a really tight angle. It's like, if someone is going to have a shot from there, fine. You'll either back him to miss it, hit the post, or keeper will save it. It's very rarely you'll see a shot going in from there. And you'll never keep everything out. So you can't have the mindset of you're playing 95 minutes of football and you're not going to give up chances. Every side gives up chances. Prime Barcelona gave up chances. You know, prime Liverpool gave up chances. You will give up chances. It's just a case of the quality of them. And in fairness, I think for all of their bluster today, and there was a lot of it, they really had one chance. I think they had one real chance. The rest of them were,
we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, but the rest of them were were rushed, or you fancy the keeper, really. You know, there was a few hairy moments, but I said it the other night in the show before, that Ali would probably have to bail us out a couple of times.
He did.
And he did. People in the chat were saying, do you think Alisson is capable of bailing us out? Yeah, he fucking is. Relax.
He was back to his best today.
Yeah, he was really good.
Which is good, because some of the stats around Alisson's goalkeeping performances in terms of goals expected versus shots faced, or whatever the hell the metric is they use for it, or just the raw numbers of number of shots on target versus number of goals conceded, hasn't been looking good. But in a match, in a game where we had the two most expensive goalkeepers in the history of world football playing, it was quite obvious why one of them flamed out at the club that paid the big bucks, and the other one has made himself the world's number one goalkeeper. I mean, let's get to the goal. Ashley, I'm almost certain it was Robertson that plays the long ball to Gakpo. The first replay I see, it just looks like Gakpo trips himself. It looks like he clips his own feet together. But there's contact in the back from Lewis Cook, who is we need to point out, a fill-in right back. He is not a right back by trade. It's a penalty.
Yeah, it's like anytime you're going to clip an attacker in that situation, like it will be a penalty. I understand that, like, you know, it's one of the ones that, like, if it was given against us, I'd be like, really? But like, it still is a penalty. And, you know, I do feel like the analysis, maybe it's just because I'm so in the game, but like, I feel like the fine-tooth analysis when it comes to whether it's a goal or a penalty for Liverpool is like, I'm amazed at how long that took to confirm as a penalty, because it was like, first, is it a penalty? And then we're going to go back and we're going to see if there's an offside, if there's things, whatever. And I know they have to do it. It just felt like it took forever. But yeah, it was a penalty, and like, what a good penalty for Mo Salah. We talk all the time about how he makes us nervous. And I mean, in saying that, I think he's 7 from 7 for his penalties, but like, that was hit with power. There was no way, even with the keeper going to the right side, that anyone was saving that. And so that was just, I don't know. It was such a touchy game up to that point that I needed that personally to just calm my nerves. And I felt so much better after that.
Yeah, I mean, especially knowing that the 14 times so far in the league we've scored first, we've gone on to win 14 of those times. But Kev, I'm not sure how firmly in the camp of anti-left foot bias against penalty takers are, but I mean, Ashley's given us the stats here when Mo converts that. First player in Premier League history with 20-plus goals and 10-plus assists in a season after turning 30. That's a rather obscure one. Now 20-plus Premier League goals in a single season for the 5th time, and another rung up that all-time Premier League goal-scoring chart. He's now 6th all-time leading goal scorer on 178, surpassing Frank Lampard, with Sergio Aguero just ahead of him with 6 goals, which, credit to Sergio Aguero, you can kind of forget how amazing he was that he had 6 20-plus goal seasons in a row in the Premier League. But that's the type of penalty I like seeing. I tried to get the stuttery run-up put into Football Room 101. None of that from Mo Salah.
No, it was, look, it was, you see it from behind the goal. It wasn't in the corner. It wasn't in the side netting, but it was hit with power. And the power was enough. You know, the power was enough. It was accurate enough, and didn't really give the keeper much of a chance. And yeah, look, I am firmly in the camp of I hate left footers taking penalties. It looks all kinds of weird and wrong. And I'll never, ever, ever in my life be comfortable with it. But look, he's very good at it. So, look, you take it, and we needed it. We badly needed it. It was at a time in the game where, you know, there were chances for both sides at this stage. I mean, Szoboszlai had a chance just before that, and it was, you know, you're right on the half hour. You need something to go for you, and it felt like that kind of game where you needed something to happen. And yeah, it was a penalty. I think it was Chris put it in the chat there earlier. Lewis Cook gave it away. It was like his facial reaction. He knew it was a slight clip, but it was close to offside. You know, the offside he was onside, but it was close enough that they had to get the lines out. So that's probably what took the delay. And I think players are getting a lot more comfortable with that now. Whereas when VAR first came in and players were hanging around for a couple of minutes while the decision was being made, I think players have got a lot more comfortable with that now. They're learning how to manage it, and Salah steps up, and the records keep tumbling. You know, I mean, in fair, he's gone ahead, and the people that are above, everyone who's above him now are all strikers.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like Frank Lampard was an attacking midfielder. He was at number 10, second striker, whatever you want to call it, but you know, he was the only player that was in that list who was not a striker. So the fact that Mo Salah has gone past him in February, you know, the 1st of February, then you know that as long as he stays healthy, he'll have Aguero in his sights. And if he can go past Aguero, then wow, you know, that is mental. Absolutely mental.
Yeah, because he was a dynamite player. But yeah, like you said, all out and out number 9s, unquestionable number 9s. Ashley, Chris is reminding you of your Room 101 shout that goal should stand because it was a nice finish. And it's a nice finish from David Brooks. The Kirkes cross eventually falls to him. and he blasts it home, but it's offside. And regardless of how nice the finish is and how much the commentators would like it to stand, offside is offside.
Yeah. My commentators went on about it for like a good 5 minutes about how it's a shame to see it, ruled out because it was such a nice finish. It's like, it doesn't matter. Like, stop filling that 5 minutes of time. Just move on with the game. And yeah, it was just one that I personally would like to see go in Room 101 because it's just ridiculous. I don't know. My commentators were garbage today, but maybe that was just me.
Oh no, we had the same one, so don't worry.
It felt like I was listening to like a pro Bournemouth channel. Like
it was a wake up call though. It was an alarm bell moment. I mean, it was offside. It was close enough, but they'd been looking for that chance a fair bit. So, and it was a nice finish. So they have that in their locker. So it was literally a few minutes. It was probably the wake up call for everyone to say, look, 5 minutes to halftime, get to halftime, and see where the land lies. Don't concede a stupid goal from here.
Yeah. It's Pierce Richmond with another great Mo Salah stat. He is the second Gemini to score a hat trick while Mercury is in retrograde after Bob McDuck for Swindon in 1937, which I believe we can all understand is slightly tongue in cheek. He only got the brace today. He did not actually get. Yeah, Anthony Boylan on the same feed as us. Courtney Sweetman Kirk, dreadful. Has she ever seen football, let alone a game?
It was a painful listen. I muted it for a period of time because it was so bad.
Yeah, and Professor Madge Apple hitting the nail on the head. The media is just desperate for teams to beat Liverpool. Yeah. It's not even subtle now because they need to keep that narrative of there's a title race going. If it just becomes a procession, I would imagine if you're not a Liverpool fan working in the media, that like the idea of 3 months of just having to wax lyrical about us as we stroll to a title, I would imagine that would grate on you a little bit. But fuck them, because that's exactly what we're going to do.
I look forward to it.
Exactly. Yes. This is what fan content is for, and this is what everybody's here for. Which also, if you're here, please hit the little thumbs up button for us. It helps to spread the channel around and bring a few more people into our little community. Couple more things before the half was up. Mo Salah puts in just an outrageous outside of the left foot cross that there's not quite enough ability for Trent to get good power on his header. It's easily saved. And then Trent makes an incredible long through pass through to Gravenberch, who's making the deep run. The shot goes over the bar. We get to halftime. It's 1-0. I mean, Kev, for me, the biggest takeaway I took from the first half was our midfield, man. Like, I am in love with that midfield. And Szoboszlai, I don't think had the best game, but Gravenberch and McAllister are so reliable and so steady on the ball. They don't make a ton of unforced errors, and they're so good at taking the ball and putting us on the front foot with a little shift or a shimmy, playing cute 1-2 balls in the middle of the park. Like, the best midfield in the world right now.
It's the key that sets them apart, because look, there probably are better players out there, but what sets these two apart, and Szoboszlai as well, and Jones when he came in, is their decision making on the ball. Their decision making on the ball to see a picture is up there with anyone, and you could say anything about players in the world game. What they see in the picture is options everywhere, and that's largely down to the work rate of the players around them as well. But yeah, their decision making, McAllister's experience, his calmness on the ball. I mean, look, they worked their socks off as well. I think Gravenberch today, his willingness to break play up, his aggressiveness on the ball. I think McAllister can be a bit too aggressive at times, but at the same time, that he's just in the right side. And I mean just in the right side of where you want to be. But yeah, they were really good. And the thing is, against that kind of attack, the way Bournemouth play, it's very difficult to look good in that kind of a midfield, especially for Szoboszlai, because sometimes you're chasing shadows. They move the ball that quickly that you're trying to anticipate everything, and sometimes they play around you a little bit. But at the same time, when you get on the ball, it's what you can do with it while you have it. And when you can keep it, manage it, that's what you got to do. So, I thought they were really good.
Yes, and our resident absent smartass, Chris Brack, saying, a South American player being feisty. Who'd have thought it? Who'd have thought it? But he really doesn't seem to be afraid of a yellow card either, which, I mean, we go through the first half and not a single player is booked. And then, Ashley, there's just a flurry of yellow cards from Darren England in the first 10
throwing them
minutes.
around like confetti. I think there were 4 in about 8 minutes there. And not all of them, I think, were yellow cards. I think he was getting a little bit too liberal with the giving out of the yellow cards. But yeah, we got to a point where McAllister, he was close. I think one more like poorly timed tackle, I think McAllister would have been off, which is I think the reason why you immediately saw Slot turn to Jones, which, I didn't think Jones was going to be ready to play. So that in and of itself was a good surprise. And also just the smart management by Slot. I think there were a few substitutes today, that one, and then particularly the Salah coming off for Endo. They were just that's what we've been calling for. Thank you. So yeah, good management overall there.
Yeah, I think the Endo thing, he's really, a lot of people said that, I think it was in the United game, of once you get the lead, just bring Endo on and shore it up. But it feels like now that he's done enough in the appearances that Slot's given him in the cup competitions that he's more willing to turn to him a little bit earlier in it. Before the run of yellow cards, though, there was a worrying moment, again, really early in the second half, where Kluivert finds himself in acres of space just above our penalty spot and gets on the end and hits a volley. And luckily, Ibu Konate is exactly in the right spot. But I mean, Kev, it's is it a conspiracy? Is there a PGMOL conspiracy to allow Liverpool to win the league? Because is Alexis McAllister a lucky boy to not see a second yellow card?
He wouldn't have had any complaints if one was given. Bearing in mind the one that was given, the red card, the straight red that was given in the week. It's one of them. If it's given, you ain't arguing it. You don't really have a leg to stand on, but you don't really have much of an argument about it. It was it was in the seen him given category. I think the way the game was, if I'm a Bournemouth fan, I am tamping because I'm screaming for a second yellow. As a Liverpool fan, I'm like, yeah, get him off now, please. He's done his job.
Get him off. Get him the fuck off.
I don't think it was a glaring, it wasn't one of those really, really violent yellow cards.
No.
Where I have no idea how he got away with that. It was a little clip.
Yeah. But I put it straight into our WhatsApp group. Get him off. Get him off now. And as soon as it happened, Slot turned around to Jones yeah, you're next. And he had to make the double change because you're only allowed to make 3 blocks of substitutions in a game. So he had to bring Darwin on as well. So whether that was earlier than he probably wanted to do it, the situation of the game was you have to do it now. He did not have another get out of jail free card left in the locker. He used them all up and probably cashed in a future one as well. So yeah. Is it a PGMOL? Is it a PGMOL conspiracy? Well, yeah, obviously the PGMOL love us. I mean, they obviously hate Arsenal with an absolute passion, and they want to screw Lego Head out of winning anything. So we'll see how tomorrow goes.
Whoa. He's won 2 Community Shields, Kevin. That's a big trophy. Physically, it's quite large. Not as large as the
plate.
I take everything back. The PGMOL are absolute straight down the line. There is no bias in there whatsoever. I'll stand over that till the day
there you go. Yeah,
till the day someone pays me a check.
The Community Shield is the football trophy that looks most like something that would be given out at the end of a tennis tournament. So there was a strange one, Ashley. Virgil's yellow card. It's something you don't see very often, which is the advantage is played, the advantage isn't used, and then the ref brings it back and gives the yellow card for Virgil, because I thought Virgil got away with one there because he body checks the shit out of Dango Utara. And the ref lets the play go on. The ball goes out. I think it ended up being a throw-in for us, or maybe a free kick for a handball in the Bournemouth half. And then he goes over and gives Virgil the yellow card. It's such a rare thing to see.
Yeah, I don't think it normally happens. I don't think it's supposed to happen. normally if you play advantage, the yellow card doesn't get given. But whatever. You know what? It was a yellow card challenge. Like he absolutely cleaned. It was a body check. You know, and Virgil's a big guy. I'm sure he could body check, you know, most people in this world without too much difficulty. But yeah, I don't have a problem with it. Whatever.
Yes. I do appreciate the chat pulling me up and correcting me. Nicholas Nugent pointing out that it is not the Community Shield. It's now known as the Premier League Super Cup because it is a totally legitimate trophy that counts towards any and all things to go for.
I'm not having a week out it, so because we've won it so many times.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot.
I mean, Kev, the next talking point for me is Trent going down injured, and Ashley shared here that Arne Slot says that Trent asked to come off and says he'd be surprised if he plays against Tottenham on Thursday. A slight worry, but very nice having a capable deputy in Connor Bradley to come on with Darwin Núñez. Trent comes off and Gakpo comes off. Slight concern over Trent picking up an injury?
Yeah, it's a concern for sure. I mean, he sat down straight away, pointed to his thigh. If it's thigh muscle, then we'll have to wait and see what the scans show. You've seen it with Jota, they could be a few weeks. That could lead into however long, we don't know. So there's no point in guessing. But it does, we know we have Joe Gomez on the way back, which is good, but it's not a case of we've a few days left of the January window. We are going to have to go out and sign a right back because we have to. We don't have cover. That's not going to happen. So they'll do the scans. They'll know by Monday what it is, and you'd imagine it'll be a couple of weeks, maybe 2-3 weeks. Not ideal timing. But Connor Bradley, as Chris said in the chat, came in and it was seamless. It was actually more refreshing to see an orthodox right back doing the position, because I think that at that time of the game, that's what the game needed. You remember in the first half, Mo put that cross in for Trent making a bombing run through the middle, and he had that header that went straight at the keeper. That's Connor Bradley's not going to do that. You know what you're going to get from him. He's like the equivalent of Andy Robertson on the right-hand side. He'll get up and down. He'll defend his position. And there's trust there with him. It's just about getting him back to match fitness and match sharpness. So, happy enough with Bradley when he comes in, but yeah, it's always going to be a worry when you get any player going down with a muscle problem.
Yeah, it's you don't like to see it. We might be approaching crisis time now in terms of our injuries, having potentially two of our senior players out injured. I'm not sure if that qualifies as a crisis. Ashley, we got to talk about it in terms of narrative. I mean, Liverpool getting lucky in terms of players missing open goals. It's great, like quasi forward play from Patrick Kluivert to hold up under the long ball, and he lays it off to Marcus Tavernier, who comes in, and it's an incredible shot. And he can count himself unlucky that it doesn't go off the post and in, but it does hit the post. And it falls to a perfectly onside and completely unmarked Patrick Kluivert, who is maybe the most informed goal scorer in the Premier League in the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
And how does he miss?
I don't know. I think the term, like, the goal was leading a charmed life was used a few times on my feed, and I don't have a problem with that because I agree. I think they hit the woodwork at least twice. Yep. I have no idea how he missed. I think he is their club high goal scorer with 12. It should have been 13. But, unlucky 13, I guess, is what they say. And lucky for us because, I don't know. I just sat there for most of the second half being like, we need another goal because they were threatening. And I think in general, they upped it a gear in the second half. They seemed more energetic and looked more threatening. And to get away with that, I was like, yeah. Time to get that second goal now. Like that was we had several warning shots, and I think we got quite lucky there. Yeah,
I mean, Kev, it's a sign of the respect that I think most Liverpool fans have for the project that Bournemouth are going through right now. A lot of it Richard Hughes's responsibility, but also the work of the manager Iraola, that it was a nervous, for me, it was very nervous second half until we got that second goal, that they looked like they could score, not at any moment, but they looked like they could have a goal on them. Like odds are more likely that they would score than they wouldn't score, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, to get the let off of the massive miss from Tavernier, and then 4 minutes later we get the second goal, it's just like, whoo, now we can breathe.
Exactly. And a perfect time, and 5 minutes later, you know, they had the chance. Really good effort from outside the box. Ali, I think if it's on target, Ali has it covered, because you look at how close he got to it. It was just outside his fingertips. So if that's a few inches inside, I think Ali might get a fingertip on it anyway. But Kluivert, it was almost like the goal was there, the ball was there, nobody was getting to him. Was it a case that he had too much time to think about it, where to put it, and he just shanked it? It's, you know, whatever reason for it, he should have scored it. You know, that was the single biggest chance that they had in the game. They come close a few times, but you need that, you know, especially if you're playing against a side like Liverpool, who are capable of pulling out a goal out of anywhere. You have to take the gifts that come your way. And it wasn't the case that anyone did anything wrong per se. It was a chance that fell to them off of, you know, a bounce off the post. You can't be everywhere. You should do better. But you go up to the other side 5 minutes later. Balls worked from Diaz's side all the way across. Ball out to Mo, and Kirkes showed him the angle. And Mo said, "Thank you very much." You know, he didn't kick the back off it. It was literally accuracy over everything else. There was no real power in it. It was all accuracy and finesse, and beautiful goal. But I'll be honest, Kirkes was awful for it. Absolutely horrendous.
Yeah.
The one thing with Mo Salah is you do not let him on his left. You almost overcompensate. If you're not getting the help, you have to overcompensate and force him down the right. That takes an extra couple of seconds that someone might get there. Or you make him take the shot from a harder angle on his right foot, or he might cut it across, whatever. But you have to buy time. You cannot show him the inside on his left foot and allow him that angle. That's the most Salah spot. You go and look back at all of his goals. Don't even watch the goals. If you had a screen that showed you the point of where Mo Salah scores his goals, I bet you that spot it looks like a pub dartboard that has been up for like, Matt, don't do that on the screen again. But it was like you don't. That would look like a dartboard that's been up on a pub for 3 years. You know, that spot is exactly his spot. It was awful by him. And in fairness, he was really good for the whole game. I thought he did really well against Salah. He was physical against him. He didn't allow him much space. He played him really well. But that one moment is all that Mo Salah needs. He gets a moment like that, and the keeper had no chance. The keeper was nowhere. It wasn't his fault. It's just an exquisite finish. You know, that was perfect finesse, no power, just pure accuracy. It was a great goal. And it was exactly what we needed. Exactly what we needed. Calmed the nerves, and you could enjoy the last 15 minutes. Loved it.
Exactly. Before I come to you on the goal, Ash, you can give a shout out to Yus, who's pretty regular in the chats on all the Talkin Kop shows. He says, "Evening all, heading back from the game that was ridiculously intense in person. Semenyo is some player. Great win. Heart emoji." And I mean, I'm not quite as scathing on Kirkes because he does have to do better, Ashley. But for me, when I'm watching the replay of that, it's a 3v5 opportunity, and we do a good job of holding up the speed of our attack to allow that fourth man runner, which is Curtis Jones, to come in. And then when Jones plays the ball out to Mo, when I'm watching it live, I'm thinking that's a terrible ball. Kirkes is intercepting that, and they're off the other way. And he just seems to stumble just a tiny bit, where he's kind of caught between, do I try to cut that pass to Mo out, or do I mark my man? And once he's had that moment of indecision, he has to recollect himself, and next thing he knows, the ball's just drifting into the side netting. Like, he needs to do better, but it felt like we put him in a position where that was difficult. And then Mo Salah does Mo Salah.
Yeah, I mean, there's knowing what you need to do to stop Mo Salah, and then there's actually doing it. Like, you were talking about, arguably the most informed, like, winger / striker at this point in the world. So yeah, he fluffed it kind of that one time. I think he defended him pretty well for the rest of the game, but Mo Salah only needs one chance. And that's the beauty of having him in the team. And he's had like a quiet couple of weeks. I mean, we were talking about it in the pre-match. He seems to have gotten kind of back into a groove recently. And, he loves scoring against Bournemouth now. I think it's 11-11 now for Mo Salah. So, it's one of those teams that he just loves to score against. So I'm sure Bournemouth will be happy to see the backside of him. But yeah, I don't know how much you can do. Like, when Mo Salah's in that form, like, you could be the best defender in the world and still get done by Mo Salah. But yeah, I mean, it was actually a really nice build up. Like, I think Nunes was involved. He passed to Diaz. Diaz then got the ball to Jones. It was very intricate, and we worked it really well. So it wasn't just a brain fart by Kirkez. It was a well worked goal, like you were saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's fantastic. You are right that it is 11 goals in 11 games against Bournemouth for Mo Salah. And the most shocking thing about that is that he didn't score when we beat them 9-0. Like,
yeah, he had like 5 games where he didn't score. So, there was a bit of a drought there, actually.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just another, and I mean, it's such a testament to the quality of goal scorer that Mo Salah is, that it's more teams than not. He has this record of 15 goals in 16 games or 11 goals in 11 games against them. And it's like all of the big teams as well, too, because he's fucking incredible. He's absolutely incredible. I mean, Kev, it's 2-0. I'm now relaxing and starting to think about, the end game of this, and let's see this out. And there's 2 things for me that really solidified the end of the game and made sure that there was no frights put up Liverpool, the team, or the fan base. One was Bradley coming on for Trent, because he just deals so much better with Semenyo. He takes him one-on-one a couple of times where Semenyo tries to push the ball past him, and Bradley has enough pace, he has enough power, he has enough positioning to shepherd it out for a goal kick. And then the other one is the fact that we have the world's best goaltender in between the sticks, because he comes out and he collects a good ball at about 81 minutes, and then he makes the great save on what would have been an own goal. I'm not sure whose OG it would have been, but it's incredible reactions from Alisson, because know that whole defense is desperate for a clean sheet.
Yeah, it was a fantastic save. All of his weight was going the other way. He had to react to it, to claw it back out. But, he's just doing Alisson Becker things. You'd have been shocked if he didn't get down to get it. He's just that kind. He's just that good. People underestimate how vital he is. He's been this good for years. Yeah, he has dips in form and what have you, but in general, you can bet the house on it. And I thought he was outstanding today. His distribution, his calmness on the ball. I thought we had to use him quite a lot more than what we normally do on the ball as well. It became one of those things that, if you're playing against a side with a high press, having a goalkeeper that you can go back to and really trust, it's vital. So, yeah, he was really, really good. Again, it was late in the game. So, I think there was 3 minutes of injury time gone at this stage. So there was only a couple of minutes left. But, yeah, clean sheet is massive. Against a free-scoring side like Bournemouth as well, it will do the confidence of the lads the world of good. So, yeah. Absolutely delighted with it. Outstanding performance. Deserved 3 points. And look, there's not many sides that go to Bournemouth this season. Plenty of the so-called top sides have gone there and, fluffed their lines, But, this is the mark of this is what champions do. This is what champions do when you go to tough away grounds and you get a result that you need and you heap pressure on these sides that are what now. Let's have a look. 9 points. You have a 9-point gap to a side like Arsenal on the same games played. We have a far superior goal difference. We just carry goal threats everywhere. So yeah, you the same number of goals conceded. So our defense is equally as good as Arsenal's. You know, Arsenal rave on about Saliba and Gabriel and their this and their that and their goalkeeping. You know, and the fact that their set piece coach is absolutely fantastic. They don't score more than us. They don't concede less than us. We're 9 points clear. They're not catching us, no matter how good or bad or indifferent they think they are. They are what they are. You know, bridesmaids. You know, when the chips are down, they don't have the minerals for a fight, and they don't have the minerals to stick at it. You know, you saw last season. You know, they were ahead last season, and
it was their season, Kev. That was their season. They're going to look back on that season in 4, 5, 10 years' time and go, fuck.
Yeah, they had their chance. I mean, this season, look at Man City. The Man City have fallen away. This was their season to turn up. And as usual, as Arsenal, I mean, look, they haven't won a title in decades. There's a reason for it. You know, they're just the red side of Spurs. That's all they are. North London, it's in the DNA and it's forever, in the water.
Yeah. North London.
They're just there's a reason why they've never won anything in Europe. You know, ever in their history, they've never won anything in Europe.
Well, that was a refereeing conspiracy sending off Jens Lehmann, you know, in the Champions League final. Obviously, the conspiracies.
Let's be honest about it, right? They're no different to Spurs. They're just wear different shirts. You know, Spurs have got their Spurs back at the minute. Arsenal have got their Arsenal. This is what they are. You know, they're always thereabouts. They give it a good go. They try really hard, but ultimately they.
Yeah, hey, I mean, that's extremely well put, Kev. One final thing, Ashley. What the fuck was Curtis Jones doing on that drop ball in the 93rd minute? But I don't know if he needs to touch the ball before Bournemouth can take it. I don't think so, because it's contested drop ball. I'm not entirely sure, but he just doesn't touch the ball and they have a break. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing, Curtis? Because I think other than that, he was pretty good.
I don't know. You know what? I'll let it slide because, you know, I didn't expect him to even play today. I genuinely did not know he was fit enough to be on the field at all. So, you know, brain fart, whatever. Like, it didn't cost us. I have no idea what he was doing. But at that point, honestly, I was just glad. I was glad.
In fairness, technically, he's right. It's a drop ball. The ball was given back to Liverpool. Until he touches it, the ball isn't live.
Yeah, so it's an uncontested drop ball, right? He has to touch it for it to go.
He has to touch it for the ball to be live. So it would have been interesting if they went up and scored. What the referee and VAR made of it, you know?
Kev, the referee today was one of the good process, well done lads. Like,
is VAR love us, you know? So VAR PGMOL and the VAR love us so much that they would have disallowed any goal for Bournemouth. So the lads would have got their bonuses, and you know, is what it is. But they obviously love us.
Yes, of course they obviously love us. There's no two ways of getting around that. I
really hope people on that podcast version of this understand the tongue in cheek that is going on right now, because otherwise,
no. I don't care. If you're listening on on Spotify, it doesn't come with emojis. You really got to be in the live chat to get the facial expressions and to understand the sarcasm.
You should come and join us in the live chat and become
absolutely
a member.
You should. Absolutely, you should.
There are certain things that you just can't get on podcast format.
Exactly.
No, and it's very well said, because John R became a YouTube member here today in today's show. So awesome news, John. Get yourself set up for a Telegram account. Email Gav at talkinkop1@gmail.com. Let him know your YouTube name, your Telegram name, and he'll get you added into the members Telegram chat, which is where all the fun exists. Let's fly through some of these quotes here that Ashley's gotten together for us after the match. Allison talking about Mo Salah, saying his qualities. He knows how important he is to the team when he scores. We have to highlight all the defensive work he did for the team today. It's something he doesn't like to do, which is what Kev was pointing out earlier. In response, Salah says, my main target this season is to win the Premier League. We are going in the right direction. You can absolutely say that again. Talking about Bournemouth, Allison says, if you look at the data, they are one of the top for running and intensity. We had to be really focused and really sharp when we had the ball. move a lot. To be honest, the Premier League is a high standard this season. All teams are giving the top 6 trouble. Mo Salah says, it feels slightly different, but last season we were the same. The season before we were very close, but we need to stay humble and take each game at a time. We don't have to think further. Scoring goals and keeping on winning, it's an incredible feeling, but the main target is to win the Premier League. We are moving in the right direction, so let's keep going. Mo says, the defense is incredible. Allison knows how good he is for us. We played 6 or 7 years together and then 1 or 2 in Rome. He works very hard. I'm happy for him. And then, we got to get a required XG stat in. Bournemouth XG 1.07, Liverpool 2.94. That is very precise and scientific. So a 2-goal margin seems absolutely about correct. Arne Slot after the game, one of the doesn't even need
statements of the year.
Having Mo Salah in a game like this definitely helps. That is a comment you could make after basically every single game. Arne Slot said that Gravenberch was moved wider to the right today to help combat the threat of Kirkez. Ooh, a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge there. Arne Slot on Trent says he asked if he could come off, and then he went down. He felt something. I can't tell you exactly what that is because it's only now an hour after it happened, but it is never a good sign that the player is asking for a substitution. So that's kind of the
right thing, though.
The cloud
the right
for
thing.
the game. Yeah.
I'm
glad he does that, though. I think that our team has been better this year about like noticing when they're kind of on the edge of something and asking to come off at the right time. We've had it happen a few times, so I'm glad he did ask to come off.
Yeah. It shows a sign of, maturity in your game and stuff like that. That there's no point to take any chances, especially at this point in the season. We're going to need everybody available, fit and firing for the final 14 games in the league, plus whatever else we have in all the other competitions that we're involved in. Kev, who would you like as your man of the match, your honorable mention, and your could do better?
Look, for me, the man of the match is Ryan Gravenberch. Thought he was everywhere. His work rate today was immense. Managed the yellow card really well in a game where he had to, with their pace and their ability to pass the ball really quick. You cannot make a mistimed tackle, but you still have to be aggressive at the same time. I thought he was outstanding. I think he won the most tackles out of anyone in the game as well. Is that passing accuracy? Somewhere 93% in a game like that, in a game as quick as that, to have a pass rate of 93% is off the scale. And he won the most duels in the match as well. So whenever they came through the middle, they really had to work their socks off to try to go down the other side. Honorable mention, Alisson Becker, because he earned that clean sheet. He earned that clean sheet with some really good saves in key moments. And his distribution from the back, his calmness on the ball, absolutely fantastic, outstanding. Could do better. Maybe, if I'm really being harsh, is Luis Diaz, but that's being extremely harsh because I think no matter who plays through the middle for us, we don't tend to build attacks in the way that suits a traditional 9 striker. So that's the prism that he's viewed in when he plays that position, as you're the number 9, you should be scoring goals or getting loads of chances. I think the way he's being asked to play today, he carries the ball really well. He had a couple of chances, and he worked the keeper, but it's when you get those odd few chances, you need to take one, and because you won't get those chances that often. Worked really hard. I think Darwin did the same when he came on, worked his nuts off, coming back and tackling back and left back and all that.
That one he made by the corner flag was like, "Get a boy." Yeah,
loved it. But and I'm saying I'm extremely harsh at that because I thought overall everyone played really well.
Yeah,
but I had to pick someone. So.
Yeah, it's. I don't think anybody had an absolute mare. Ashley, who are your nominees for our 3 awards? Oh, and now she's muted herself. So much for being a professional, Ashley. Welcome to the ranks of amateur.
Sorry, I did sneeze off in the corner, so I didn't want to
Well
have
done.
him scary. So,
Well done.
I did try, but I'm going to give man of the match to Allison. I think, like Kev said, he earned that clean sheet, and it's nice to get those back. I want more of them. But I think he made a couple of really smart saves. The one at the end where he was down low, I think it was off of Ibu. It was right off of his ankle. That for me. I think, it's hard to overlook Salah for, man of the match or honorable mention. So I'll give him the honorable mention because, he's the one that got us over the line, and he did Mo Salah things, and he finally scored a penalty with power that didn't make me super nervous. So credit where credit is due. Could do better. I'm going to give it to Clivert because I can't believe he missed that open net. But no, I don't think anyone on our team really could do better. I think it was an overall performance from top to bottom. I don't think anyone stood out as poor.
Yeah, I'm going to take the low-hanging fruit then, I guess, and give man of the match to the guy that scores 2 goals, Mo Salah. He really looked like he was on one. It was on 62 minutes. Mo got the ball in the box and decided to try one of those insane solo dribbles to try to get around a ton of people. And it's got to be the 5th or 6th or 7th time this season that he's tried one of those. And I get the strangest feeling that one of them is going to come off and he is going to score an absolute fucking worldie that is going to go into the pantheon of the goal against City and the goal against Watford that he scored in back-to-back games. So Mo's going to get my man of the match. I'm going to give my honorable mention to Virgil van Dijk because he's just absolutely outrageous. RCTV earlier in the show said, by the way, that Virgil, hey, Jesus, that man is elite world class. There's one, Ashley, where the ball kind of comes down the left-hand side. Robertson was a little bit out of position, and Virgil actually had to run hard to play the ball. And he plays it back, and we maintain possession. And he just has this look on his face. I can't remember what movie or TV show. Is it from Zula? Or no, from Dodgeball, from the movie Dodgeball. You made me bleed my own blood. He has that look when somebody makes him have to actually
How dare
run.
you make me sweat?
Yeah, I had to sprint. Are you out of your fucking mind? Do you not know who I am? I'm Virgil van Dijk, and it's just
smelling good is part of my personality. I can't not smell good.
No. You know that his sweat is just actually made out of Dakar Noir or something like that.
It's made out of angel's tears or something.
Angel's tears, lovely. And then I would say my could improve would be Dominic Szoboszlai. Somebody was pointing out in the chat that he seemed like he was falling over a fair bit. There was one chance they had where we were on the break and Szoboszlai tries to pirouette over top of the ball and trips on it. And next thing we know, there's a Bournemouth counterattack going the other way. But that's really nitpicking because, again, I agree with Kev. And you said the same thing, Ashley, of everybody was a 7 out of 10 minimum today. And that's what you need going away to a place like Bournemouth. And we just keep ticking the results off. I mean, Kev, you've rejoined us. Let's talk about some of the other results that happened this morning. What the Nottingham Forest? Holy shit.
Yeah, they took that loss against Bournemouth personally.
Yeah, I watched it. It was, saying I watched it, it was on in the background. And they were really good from the off. Brighton absolutely fell apart. They were set up really badly. Only one real midfielder playing. And it showed. Brighton were trying to play like Brighton do. Lovely passing, flowing football and what have you. But as soon as Forest won it back and hit on the counter, they were relentless. And it was non-stop. It was an absolute hiding. But I think Brighton are in really poor form at the minute. And in fairness, I think the manager's struggling. He's really young, pretty inexperienced. It's a really tough ask to come into that club. Given what they've sold in the last few years, as opposed to what they've brought in, it's not of the same level. It's, they're really struggling. I think they're lucky enough that, they're safe. They're going to stay in the league and what have you. But I think there's going to be questions asked of the Brighton manager towards the end of the season if they don't turn this form around.
Yeah, I can't see them sacking Hertzler. I mean, he's a young and up and coming coach. They're still in let me just check the live table here. I mean, they're in 10th, but they're more than likely to finish comfortably top half. You know, that they might at a stretch push for a Europa Conference League position, but they're definitely not going to get dragged into a relegation fight or anything like that.
No.
And I think you just keep that factory of players going at Brighton, and I think that'll be good for him, because it's like something you said about Bournemouth, Kevin, like the position they're in terms of having to sell players because they're that stepping stone club. It's good for both of these clubs. Like, you know, see, Bournemouth's got the new stadium. You know, the Amex is a nice new facility. Bournemouth is in the process of getting themselves a new stadium, moving up from the comically small 11,500 seat stadium that they're currently playing in.
It might be really fun to watch games in, though.
Yeah, I know. I would like to know how Hughes got himself a ticket to that, because I mean, 11,500. That is.
I think there was only about 900 traveling. There was about 900 in the Liverpool end. It was the lowest.
That's 9% of the capacity of the whole.
I could hear them the whole game.
Yeah, it's the lowest allocation of any. You know, obviously, it's the lowest allocation you get in a season. But yeah, it's one of those. I mean, today you look at the results across the board. There's a few shocks in there for sure, but I'm glad we weren't one of them, because the potential was there for us to definitely be dragged into that territory. You know, and Bournemouth are a very good side. You know, let's not get away from that.
I mean, the other shocks, Ashley. I mean, Fulham beats Newcastle, which I don't know if you'd call that one a shock, but that's a big result for Fulham and kind of puts any sort of paid to Newcastle, that hot streak they were on there where Isak was the informed player in the league. That now seems like it's completely done. Southampton beats Ipswich 2-1 in a bottom of the table battle that probably just consigns Ipswich to a relegation spot, because you can't be losing to one of the worst teams the Premier League's ever seen. But I mean,
I don't know about that. I mean, look, you look at the sides that are down there at the minute. Ipswich are still sat on 16. Leicester are on 17. Wolves currently are on 19. Spurs are on 24. Everton are on 26. It's still any 3 from 4, and Southampton are gone.
I mean, that's if Wolves can hold on today, because I think they're on 19 just because they're one up against Villa.
They're one up at the minute, yeah. So that could go sideways. But Everton today, doing this trick that they do every year. They go and win 2 or 3 games on the bounce, and it pulls them out of trouble. And then they rebuild from there. You know, they look to try to solidify the league positions where they are. But you look at them at the minute, for all that shite that Everton have gone through this season, they're 3 points behind Manchester United. That's perspective.
You weren't very good either.
No. But you know what I mean? But that's perspective of what the level at the bottom half of the table is at the minute, where any side who can string a couple of wins together, you can really make leaps, you know. And Everton at the minute on 26 points. You'd expect this run of 3 games has probably been enough to keep them safe, especially with the win today. You know, you're taking points off the sides that are immediately around you. You know, it's massive.
Yeah.
I mean, it brings Spurs into the conversation too.
Oh, they're definitely in the conversation, Ashley. They have to be. I mean, who do Spurs have? I'm presuming they play tomorrow. Oh, they're away to Brentford tomorrow. And I mean, it's going to start getting real nervous for Spurs there. But I mean, the other result today, Ashley.
Down to as well.
Exactly.
Like multiple recruits that they're trying to get in the door have all said, nope, no, thank you. I'd rather not.
Or Spurs. But I mean, hey, they've got a manager that guarantees trophies in the second leg, which maybe, you know, guys should be careful, considering that we've got a semifinal second leg against them coming up.
Look, but I mean, on their day, Spurs are a handful for anyone, but they just don't have enough of those days. That's the thing. They're a handful for anyone on their days. They just don't have enough of those days.
Yeah. Ashley, though, our next Premier League opponent, because it is a double FPL game week, is against the Ev. And I see that the goal that Abdoulaye Doucouré scored today after 10.18 seconds, which is a very respectable 100-meter dash time, is the fastest opening goal by a home team in Premier League history. I mean, 2 goals for Beto, an assist from Jordan Pickford and a clean sheet. I mean, the Ev are absolutely flying. 3 wins in a row for them.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully that means that they won't sit back. Hopefully that means that they're full of confidence and they decide to actually give it a go. But who knows?
Come on.
I don't know. I mean, one can dream. You know, I enjoyed watching an actual game of football today. I'd like to see another one. But
yes,
it'll be a test. I mean, I think Moyes was always going to be a good appointment for them. You know, he gets them, or whatever the quote is, but I mean, he is a decent coach. Like, he knows how to get results in this league. So I'm not surprised there's a bit of a bounce there. But you know, hopefully they go in with a bit of false confidence and they get cocky and then they, you know, it blows up in their face. That's what I would like, at least.
Yeah, I'm wondering if David Moyes, if the Alsatian was actually his, and he just left it around the ground when he left Everton, and now he's come home, and it's like some sort of sob Disney movie story that he's reclaiming his dog that he lost all those years ago. But let's hope. But I mean, at the end of the day, we've got the job done. We put another 3 points in the bag. This was a very, very tricky away fixture to a team that had not lost in over 2 months. Absolutely flying at the moment, regardless of their injuries. And Liverpool go to a tiny away stadium with a raucous home crowd and a team in form, and we pick up the 3 points, and that is the absolute most important thing. We now need to change our focus to a couple of different competitions. We've got a huge second leg at Anfield against Spurs in the League Cup semifinal coming up, where we need to overturn a 1-0 deficit. Then we've got Plymouth in the FA Cup coming up. Then we have the postponed, rescheduled Merseyside derby to come up after that. We're in the business end, Kev. Like, this is it. This is the feeling that you want to have as a football fan. You don't want to have games mean fuck all at this point of the season. Everything is important. Everything is on the line, and we look the absolute business.
Yeah, look, this is the time of the season now, look, where you're giving yourself a chance to maybe get to Wembley for a League Cup. Great, ideal. 4th round of the FA Cup, away, Plymouth. Back down to the South Coast again. Much changed side, I'd imagine. And then the derby. So it's a busy month for us. It's a busy month. I think it's a busy month where we're going to need everyone available, as many players as possible available. And I think Arne Slot's going to be pick and choose where he can manage the squad through this period. But yeah, I think Everton have Bournemouth in the FA Cup. So we'll see what the confidence is like with Everton after that. If they go through against Bournemouth in the Cup, then they'll bounce into that derby full of beans and give it a right go, and we'll see what happens. But if Bournemouth turn their form around and get back to winning ways, you will see what happens. But yeah, this is the time of the season as a football fan. You're loving it. You know, you're absolutely loving it. You've come through January. The window's almost closed. The noise and the focus will turn back to football instead of off-field drama. So just look forward to that, to be honest. Be interesting to see if we do anything in the next few days with players going out on loan.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was like, come on,
no,
man.
We're not going to be bringing anyone in, but it would be interesting to see if anyone goes out on loan. I think the Stefan Bajcetic deal to Las Palmas has gone through.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see if there's any more that possibly go out. I think they probably wanted to wait for today, see who come through the fixture today, make sure there was no injuries to anyone who could potentially be needed. And you'll have the Richard Hughes, Arne Slot, they'll have to make a decision on it. I think 3 players potentially that could go out on loan. Whether they all do or not, I don't know. But the fact that Federico Chiesa wasn't even in the matchday squad today shows the depth of the quality that we have at the club at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, happy times, you know, not having to have a bunch of, relative unknown teenagers on the bench for us there. Jerry Tan, a regular contributor in the chat, says, hi, all, great win by the sounds of it. Could Gravenberch be on for player of the year? Definitely young player. I mean, Ashley, he's got to be in with the shout, but unfortunately for Ryan Gravenberch, there's a man named Mo Salah that exists in the league as well.
What's the cutoff for the young player? Because Gravenberch is 22.
23.
However
23.
old Harry Kane
So
is.
I mean, maybe for the young player of the year, which I think a lot of people consistently forget how young he is because he looks like he's about 28. But yeah, I mean, there's a shot there. I mean, I personally think he's been the best midfielder in the entire league. You know, and I think that there are some on our team that could contest that. But,
Alexis McAllister, maybe.
But in terms of just stepping up out of the blue and performing this role, like I could not have asked for more in my wildest dreams. So I am very happy with him.
Yeah, it's great times to be a Liverpool supporter. I mean, I can't imagine having to be a fan of another team when you could be having just this much fun.
I mean, you better believe that this result pissed a lot of people off. I mean, if the chat is anything to go by, it definitely pissed a lot of people off.
There was an awful lot of people who's would have been looking at this fixture, eyeing up today's fixture. That's the one. If they drop points there, then you never know. They might start looking inwards in themselves. Contract noise kicks up again. You know, this is a problem. That's a problem. The manager, they'll run out of juice. This, that, and the other. But when you go away to an informed side and you win 2-0, you get your points. Tough game. You get your points and you just say over to you. You know, to the likes of Arsenal and Man City, over to you. Let's see who can keep up with us, because that's what we've done now. We've basically turned around and said, keep up with us now if you can. Let's see what you got in your trousers.
Yeah, and it's coming up just unfortunately short and thin, I guess, and soft, to go along with your euphemism there. But this has been all well and good fun, but I know that Gav will have a Sunday night show lined up with some potential other bonus member shows thrown in just for the crack. So if you're interested
February, so shows will be coming up thick and fast.
Exactly. We're at that point of the season where I don't know why I like it so much, but there's something about the point in the season where you're playing in 3-4 different competitions in back-to-back games. I don't know why. It just means that you're in the business end in important competitions, that you're playing Champions League and then in the League Cup semifinal, then in the FA Cup, and then in the league, and everything matters. So everything's coming thick and fast. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'd like to thank Kev and Ashley for joining me. I'd like to thank Chris for not joining us. But yes, keep your notification bell on for sure, because Gab might just pop in with a members only show. Please consider becoming a member. If you're in here all the time and you haven't become a member yet, I'm looking at you, Avo and Red Steve. Just stump up the $3.99 for a month. Give it a try. Join the Telegram members group. It's all a bunch of very, very good fun. But the main thing is that you get to be involved in the live chat on all the shows, because it's where all the fun lives. So, I mean, we got a 1 out of 10. That's a great rating from a rival fan, because you just invert that, and that means we got a 10 out of 1. So that's a 10 out of 10, everybody. Well done. Thanks for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out.
I mean, we are an LFC fan channel, just in case someone didn't read the subtext. We are not meant to be completely unbiased. So apologies if that's what you were thinking.
I am nothing but biased. I will never not be biased when it comes to sports, because it is sports and it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. And what
believe it or not, I'm the one of the three of us who really does pull his punches, and I really do. I really pull my punches. So take that into consideration from what I said earlier.
Kev pulled his punches and laid a goddamn haymaker on Arsenal by calling them Spurs in red today. So that shows you exactly where we're at with all of that. So thanks for joining us, everybody. We've been the Talkin Kop. I've been Matt. That's been Kev. That's been Ashley. And the Reds fucking win again. Top of the league, baby. See you after the next game. Adios.